Yeah, hello and good morning, Istanbul. My name is Bernd Maier. I'm one of the 3 founders and managers of Markt Halle Neun in Berlin, Kreuzberg. And of course, I'm very proud to be invited to here, standing on the same stage than Claudia Rodden is marvelous for me, and I'm pretty nervous about that. I think I need someone to push. Thank you. I want to talk today about the opposite of extinction. I want to talk about creation of a new food movement, or being at least with Markt Halle Neun a tiny part of that new movement. This is it. So what means new food movement to us, and what should Markt Halle Neun be? First, of course, it's just a historical market hall, a covered food market. But we want to be more. We want to be a platform, we want to be a hub, like an incubator for this new movement, for this new artisanal, cultural, sustainable food movement. We want to be a place where food is communicating, where we discuss about food and food politics, where we strengthen rural and regional production. But I think for us, and this is our approach, which is very important, it is not a dogmatic approach, not a scientific approach, not explain to people why they should eat organic food. But I think we want to change the system with passion, with pleasure, with sensuality. I think there you can change a lot. So let's start with a little history of the building we have, and it's really a treasure, you can see. This was, I think, in the 20s. I mean, this market hall was built in 1891. This was a change of the century, when the population of Berlin exploded. I don't know if you know that Berlin 200 years ago was a village. It's not comparable with Istanbul. It just explodes at a change of the century to the 20th century. So when that happens, time of industrialization, the hygienic situation on the open food markets escalated, and so city of Berlin decided, like very German, hey, we build 14 market halls, every district gets a certain market hall where we have running water, hygienic controls, waste management, and all that stuff. So they built 14. Only 3 of them survived the world wars. Only 3 of them are left in historical substance. By the way, Markt Halle Neun, Market Hall 9, is just the ordinary name of ours. It was just the 9th. It was a working title in the beginning, and we stayed on that. So all of those market halls had just a very short phase of blossom where they really functioned, because 1890s, change of century, First World War, Second World War, there was a really hard phase they had with the world wars. But you can imagine before that, so this is, you can say, before that time, or it was made for over 200 vendors and mongers have been there. There have been 20 fish vendors, over 25 butchers in there. This was, but as I said then, the World War I, World War II came, and of course after World War, you know, Germany was divided. Berlin was surrounded by a wall, was completely separated by its surrounding, by its farmers, also farming products. It was divided by a wall, and suddenly this market hall was at the fringe of West Berlin, right, very close to the wall, and the area which even developed up to the 1970s, 80s, to the poorest region in whole Germany. So this is what it looked like when we came in, or in the beginning 2010. The full decline of this market hall started in the end of 1970s when the city of Berlin decided to make those two kind of commercial shopping malls. They put discounters in, so they put the first Aldi, I don't know if you know that, food discounter in end of the 70s in, and the drugstore followed, and the textile discounter followed. So 3/4 of that market were filled by discounters, what of course let the rest of the market, so the small vendors, killed them completely. They all went insolvent and got out. I think this depressing decline of this market hall is very exemplary for the decline of all that small structured food production and food distribution. I mean, those food discounters are a German invention. This is really crazy. Aldi, Lidl and Co. is very German. We export that up down to Australia, and it's really crazy. And all this optimization and price war on food, in my opinion, leads to a very poor and unhealthy system on food. I mean, a good example is that in Berlin nowadays, in a city with 3.5 million inhabitants, there are 3 to 5 butchers educated, new butchers every year, which is just nothing. Butcher extinct in Germany, at least. So back to the market in the early 2000s. The city of Berlin decided, okay, market halls are no longer necessary to support the inhabitants with food. We have supermarkets, therefore we just want to sell it, and we sell it best price on the real estate market, which I think is really crazy. It's a heritage protected building. City of Berlin, always telling that it's very poor, has to sell their property, so they tried to sell it best price on the market, and it was clear that a supermarket is getting in, which already happened with another of this historical hall. This was clear, another supermarket will take over that hall. And this was when you are in Kreuzberg, you can imagine Kreuzberg is a very lively, a very political neighborhood, meaning you have also 1st of May riots there, you have occupied houses. So there was a neighborhood initiative founded, which really put a lot of pressure on the regional government of Kreuzberg. And they really made it that they, for the first in history, changed this selling process from a best price to a best concept principle. Meaning best concept gets this hall to a political price. This was the first time in the history of Berlin, so they really changed it after reunion now in the 2000s. And there were 16 applicants for that market, and we won in the end. Yeah. So first, yeah, hooray, we won, but also we won, we have, this was a point where of course we were really lucky and really happy because it was our dream to develop that market, but of course at the same time we were really fearful. It took us over almost 2 years to find a bank to finance it. Also it was a political price and it was pretty cheap from a real estate standpoint. And of course we had the strong feeling that it might be a bit too big for our boots, that whole project, the food revolution within a depressing, declined market hall. This seems a bit much for us, and we thought about how to develop that. Of course, this was all in our brains, and we were having a lot of workshops with different people, with architects and food experts and so on, and had thousands of questions. Or how should a market hall 2.0 in the 21st century look like? Could that be like the older ones which just extincted? Should we get complete organic, or should we be open for all? Where do our customers from? Is the neighborhood enough for us? Do we need all Berlin to have the customers from all over Berlin? Where does the money come to finance all that super expensive sustainable products? Of course, we were still in a region of Berlin which was really poor, so this is not the center of London, as you can imagine. And where, in the end, should we find all these artisans and engaged vendors we want to have there? How can we build the quality there? For us, it was clear that this will get a very long way. We started with just tearing down and getting new space there. And here you see the first time that it could breathe. And still there are 3/4 of the market filled with discounters. Now we have just one left. And we just started with a normal mobile farmers and producers market every Friday and Saturday, what you can see here. Simple, like you know, from the streets, mobile market stalls. So this was in October 2011. After exactly 120 years after the first opening, we reopened with just a street market, farmers market. Just a few pictures. And slowly, over the years, it was clear for us, okay, we are just flexible, and then there are a few guys who develop more, who can afford building a stable structure. Like here, this is Schaff and Sokermark. They just sell typical products from one certain region in the surrounding of Berlin. Here you have in the back, you have a baker, and then the laboratories come, the real artisans come. Here you see Alfredo Ceroni, a North Italian guy, studied history and changed his life to become an Italian baker, and has the best Italian bread in town. One of the first really nice glass house bakery in the middle of this market. Follow up was a brewery in the cellar, Johannes Heidenpeter, also a guy who started sculpturing art. He's an artist, and just started brewing in his kitchen, and suddenly came to us on a really easy way, starting with a craft brewery in the cellar. This is how they started. Kumpel und Keule, you may have heard of them. They are really not stars at the moment, but after Dario Cecchini and with the Meat Hook in New York, they are at the moment really have a lot of people are looking on them. They built 38 square meters glass house butcher in this market, and by the way, they have the best bratwurst, I think, in town in Germany. I don't know. Coffee roastery is what we're doing by our own. What we're coming back, what are we doing or discussing about what is good food is, for example, I can tell you for coffee, for me it's, do we do that super specialty coffee, or do we have more, or do we more emphasize on fair coffee? What are good labels, fair trade versus Rainforest Alliance? I think it's also really difficult to behave in this new food world. What is sustainable? What is how big is the carbon footprint and things like that? I think it's pretty difficult sometimes if you see it scientifically. Tofu tussis. Two really nice girls also producing tofu in the cellar. Soya, which is produced in the south of Germany and in Austria. The next one is the market canteen. We really tried. We had a long time the problem that we get customer frequency on Friday and Saturday, no problem. But how can we grow into the week? All people just do their food shopping on Friday and Saturday on those food markets. And it was still depressing. Still now it's depressing if you come on Monday in our market. So what we've done is to build a canteen where we really try to have a fair price lunch with sustainable organic products, and this is Bone is the name. Stefan is trying to do that. In 2013 we started Street Food Thursday, which was phenomenal. I mean, this was crazy. We were the first guys who have this movement of street food, I think on continental Europe, where we have kind of a street food feast. And from the very beginning, every Thursday from 5 to 10 p.m., we had 5 to 6,000 people in there. This is a number we would wish we could have it on our farmers markets on Friday, on Saturday. What I like on them is that it's not only street food culture from all over the world you can have there. Like you can see this fish rattles filled with bean puree from a typical Japanese thing. But what it also is a very strong incubator for startup restaurants. I think we have 7 to 10 people starting with a little like that on this market, which have a restaurant in the meanwhile in Berlin, which I'm really proud of. Chaiwala is doing filled butter naans, one of my favorites. And it's also, like Claudia said before, it's so many diaspora people there in Berlin. And what you see on on the street food market is really a lot of amateurs, which is really exhausting in the organization, but they're just cooking their homesickness away. They're just doing their mama's recipe in a situation like that. Our themes market. Another format which is really successful is that we have up to 8 to 9 themes markets, always on Sundays, always together with slow food, mostly together with a strong curator. Here, for example, cheese, which we're doing with Ursula Heinzelmann, where we say we want to have an expert, our curator, and we want to have the best cheese event in the country. And this we've done for the cheese, which Cheese Berlin is like that, which, by the way, in 2 weeks, 5th of November, you should be there. Pretty cheap, it's only €3 entrance. Naschmarkt is kind of a sweets market, all the same, was the first themes market we started with only Berlin producers, no industry at all and slow food, all together with slow food. The raw wine, the raw Berlin, of course, Isabelle Legeron, you might know, First Lady of Raw Wine, honors us to do her Germany event in our market hall, which we're also really proud of course. Berlin Coffee Festival is the place where at least German third wave movement of coffee meets. Others are, so what else do we have in themes markets? Like sausage and craft beer is one. Time for bread is one, where it's all about bread and baking and bakers, and it's pretty much political. And the last one we just invented is fruits and vegetables, which also has this raw food, vegan food, which should yeah. And what we also do, another thing we do, is we try to bundle all what you've seen before, all the themes market, this weekly market, this farmers producers market, this gastronomy, the street food feast. We bundle every 2 years in a festival in and around the market. Stadt, Land, Food, I mean city, country, food, which anyhow it's one of the things we want to have. We want to, again, to combine, to bring city and country together. And this is a festival, it's over 2 or 3 days. Last time there had been almost 60,000 people there, which was amazing. And yeah. What we've done there is, of course, we have a stage with lectures, with speeches like here, but only with shout-outs. We have very many workshops. Here you can see Alfredo Ceroni again with a baking workshop, a fermentation workshop, making sausages, together with the Ministry of Agriculture in former times. You see this woman there. Cheese making workshop. This is, by the way, also something which I like. Markt Halle Neun is really from young to very old. This is a very mixed up and heterogeneous people who's coming to us. The next is honey making. And a lot of course, this is what we're doing is a lot of kids' work and educational work, because I think, or as we all know, taste is an educational thing. So I think if we want to change, if we want to do a real food revolution, we of course have to work with the kids. You see my both girls in the middle there, they spend a lot of time there. So, coming to the end, I hope I gave you a little overview of that trial, of the small part of the food revolution we want to be. One of the main and most important things for me, or the most fun and pleasure things for me, are the people I meet there. I think all these passionate food people, and you can see it there, you can feel it there, I met within those whole way. This is fantastic. And this is really what makes me strong to have this exhausting way. I really like that very much. So thank you very much. And hopefully you find your way to Markt Halle Neun someday. Have a nice day.